So we're going to do 1.4b today, and it's just an extension of the exponents thing that we did last time. So we're going to introduce negative exponents. So if I had 4 to the third, that just means 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. Okay, but what if I had 4 to the negative 3? It does turn it into a decimal. Good. What do negative exponents do? Good thing you came to class today. How do we turn a whole number into a decimal using exponents? Well, decimals are also known as fractions, right? So if I had a to the fifth over a to the third, what does that equal? What is a to the fifth over a to the third? We did this last time. So that would be a over a. I cancel those and I get a squared. What was the shortcut? How can we figure that out without writing all the variables? We're just going to do a to the 5 minus 3. Does everybody understand that? Well, watch this. If I have x squared times x to the third, isn't that just x to the 2 plus 3? Okay, some of you are working already. Watch this. This might be enlightening. Right? So if I have exponents that are added together, I can split them and turn them into multiplication. So isn't this just a to the fifth times a to the negative 3? And this are the same thing. On the bottom, it's a to the third. On the top, it's a to the negative 3. So the rule with exponents is if you move a base with an exponent from one side of a fraction to another, you just have to change the sign. So this problem here is 1 over 4 to the third. So negative exponents just flip fractions upside down. It went from 4 over 1 to 1 over 4. And that would be 1 over 4 times 4 times 4, which is 1 over 64. Okay? So a to the third is the same as 1 over a to the negative 3. So anytime you see a negative exponent, just move it from wherever it is to the other side of the fraction. So if I had 4 squared a to the negative 5 over b to the negative 2, what is that? Well, 4 squared is 16, and this becomes b squared, and this becomes a to the fifth on bottom. Does everybody understand that? Okay, let's make it a little bit harder. What should we do? Well, the negatives kind of make things harder, so let's move all the negatives. I'm going to move this down, and I'm going to move this up. So on top, x to the 6th, x to the 4th, and on bottom, x to the 4th and x to the 3rd. Now what? The x to the 4ths cancel. And 3 of these kill 3 of those, and we're left with x to the 3rd. Okay? All right, what about Well, what is the rule about raising an exponent to an exponent? Nope. So if I have x squared times x to the third, that's x to the 2 plus 3. But if I have x squared to the third, that means I have 3 copies of this. Right. So anytime you have an exponent raised to an exponent, you multiply. So I need to multiply this by every exponent. So I get 3 to the negative 3, a to the negative 6, b to the 9th, and c to the 12th. Does everybody understand that? Okay, now I need to move the negatives. So this is going to drop down. What is 3 to the third? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So I have a 27 on bottom. This moves and becomes positive. And then that stays, and this stays. Okay. All right, that brings us to scientific notation. If I have a big number, I can write this in a method called scientific notation that is much smaller. It's a much more concise way to write large numbers. How do we do it? Well, every one of these is a multiple of 10, right? Every decimal point is based on multiplying by 10. So I'm going to move this decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 places. And you always stop 1 before the end. Okay? And I shorten that to 4.5 times 10 to the 12th power. Do you guys remember this? So what would 6.37 times 10 to the 5th be in non-scientific form? Well, I just need to move the decimal. This is a positive number. I need to move it to the right 5 places. So 1, 2, I'm out of numbers, so I just put zeros. 3, 4, 5. So 637,000. Okay, but what about this? What about really, really small numbers? So now I'm going to move the decimal point to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you stop when you capture the first non-zero number. And we write 4.32 times 10 to the negative 7. So why is this a positive exponent and this is a negative exponent? Well, what do negative exponents do? They move numbers from the top to the bottom. So this is really 4.32 divided by 10 to the 7th. Can you see why that creates a really small number? We are going to divide 4.32 by 10 to the 7th. That's a million. So we're going to take this number and divide it by a million. Well, 10 million. Okay. All right, get to work. For our 1.4b.